All right, we are in week 7 of the 2012-2013 season. As you can see on this front screen, it's the Patriots and the Browns, both 6-0 leading the AFC, and the two 5-1 teams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Washington Commanders, leading the NFC. This video is just an update for the season. I'm not going to have maybe weekly updates. I'm going to try to just do in batch, but we'll go ahead and get started. Looking at the standings, we have New England taking the lead by 3 games in the East. Buffalo shocked me with being the second with 3-2. The Miami Dolphins, who have Cam Newton and Calvin Johnson Jr., Matt Forte, are only 2-4. They're having a shockingly rough season. But even worse than that, the New York Jets are 1-5. And this is a very loaded, stacked team. I'm trying to figure out what to do, whether I say Alex Smith demands a trade, Alex Smith wants out of here, because it's just a really bad situation for them. This is a team that's supposed to be a Super Bowl contender, and they have the worst record in the league. Then you have Cleveland taking the 6-0 start over their division, with Pittsburgh and Cincinnati 3-3. And then the league number 1 team last year, the Ravens, are only 1-4. So Kaepernick is not doing as well this year. They are on a 4-game losing streak after winning their very first game of the season. The AFC South has the Colts with, they started off like not decent. I think they were 2-0 with Tyrod Taylor. Then they went like 2-2, 0-2 and then 2-0. So Quinn is starting to get back at it, but he's had some injury issues at the start of this season. So Tyrod Taylor has been taking some of the starting workload. The Houston Texans, they are 3-3 with the Titans, who are 3-3. Titans were 3-1. Now you can see they're on a 2-game losing streak. Lost the narrow game against the Colts. Otherwise, it would be the Titans at 4-2 and the Colts at 3-3. Rookie Nick Foles has struggled with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only team they've beaten is the New York Jets, which is another gut punch to this Jets team. Then you have the Chargers, and now the Raiders are 3-3, which the Raiders are a little bit of a surprise, but that's because they were able to defeat the Chargers at home. So the Chargers with Aaron Rodgers versus Matt Ryan. We'll see which team comes away with the remainder of the season. The Broncos are 2-3. They're doing a little bit better than they did than I thought they would, winning only 2 games. But they are still pretty weak with Sam Bradford. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have sunk to new lows. Brandon Weeden won the very first game, so good for him. Or no, he didn't win he won one of the first 2 games, I believe it was. Maybe he lost his opener, and then, well, let's double check. Let's see. What did the Chiefs do? So the Chiefs lost to Dallas, beat Denver, crushed them, and then it's been loss after loss after loss. And I mean, some of these were fairly close too. They haven't been, this one was a blowout, but for the most part, they've been fairly close. As for the NFC, it's been a Commanders division with 5-1. The Giants and the Eagles are 3-3. I'm surprised the Eagles haven't been more dominant, but here we are. I mean, they still have 95 overall. Donovan McNabb. You see Dallas Cowboys they started out with Russell Wilson, but I'll tell you why he ended up getting benched, because he was throwing a league-high interceptions. So he ended up getting benched for Joe Webb, who has actually sort of leveled the ship a little bit. Other than winning the first game, Russell Wilson has done things well with his legs, but has not done well throwing the ball. So he has been benched so far. Does not mean he won't play again this season. But after, I think it's like a 1-3 start with double-digit interceptions, he got pulled. In the North, we see the Bears taking the lead. They have Jason Campbell, who's done a great job of really giving this Chicago team some more spunk, some more energy. It looks like they are likely to win the division. Of course, Matthew Stafford and the Packers have all the weapons necessary to come away with a major turnaround. from Antonio Brown, Julian Edelman, Stafford, of course, LeSean McCoy, and they do have one of the top defensive linebacking cores in the league. They are the best defensive linebacking core with Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. So they have all of the components to make the playoffs and go far in it. They just have to start winning more games. Detroit and Minnesota are 2-4, both with rookie quarterbacks. Tannehill with the Lions and RG3 with the Vikings. And very similarly to Russell Wilson, other than Andrew Luck, all the rookie quarterbacks are struggling with interceptions. Then Tampa Bay is 5-1, which did come as a surprise. I didn't expect Tampa Bay to be above Atlanta because Atlanta's there with Peyton Manning. Manning is only 3-3, but he does lead the league in passing. But you have Blaine Gabbert, who is handing the ball off to Darren McFadden. They've got Jeremy Maclin, Josh Gordon, some really good receivers, making that Tampa Bay season already a very successful one, as long as they can keep it up. We see Joe Flacco's Panthers sitting at 2-3, and then Tim Tebow's Saints 2-4. Tebow was able to beat the New York Jets. They were 1-5, and so they were one of the losses given to the Jets. And then San Francisco started out 0-2, and the Cardinals started 0-2. Now, both those teams are 4-0 in the 4-game win streak. The Rams, they started out 3-1. They were leading the division. Now they're behind by a game after 2 straight losses. And then the Seattle Seahawks with Eli Manning and Marshawn Lynch, who I thought was going to be the contenders for the division, are sitting at 2-4. So you can look at the worst teams in the league. You've got the Jets, the Jaguars, the Chiefs, and then the Ravens are not that far behind, just half a game because of the bye week. So a lot of work to do there. As we look at the conferences, who's likely to make the playoffs? I mean, Browns and Patriots are very likely because they are so far ahead of everyone else. Terrell Pryor has taken charge. But these 3-3s, it's definitely way too early to tell. Looking at the stats, this is a Manning, Brady, Newton league right now. As you can see, Manning leads by over 100 yards. Tom Brady shortly behind him. McNabb and Rodgers finishing up the top 5. If we look at touchdowns, Tom Brady and McNabb are the ones that lead the way, 19-17. Manning's still up there. However, we look at interceptions. RG3 has been having a difficult season. He's 13-15. So he's thrown a lot of touchdowns compared to most rookies. However, he is also throwing a lot of interceptions too. Brandon Whedon, 12 interceptions. Russell Wilson, who's been benched, 12. But also he's got only 2 touchdowns. So we're looking at how bad of a year Russell Wilson has had. I mean, if you look at his stats, first game, I hate how it's white. Maybe I need to use the dark mode. But they have, let's see, I'm going to go season stats is easier. Oh man, that's hard to see. Well, I kind of wanted to see rushing stats, but I guess I can't in this mode. So I guess that's one thing they need to maybe fix is showing us rushing, because Wilson has been rushing fairly well. Maybe if I go to Dallas, I might get it. Yeah, 2 touchdowns. He had 1 big, long touchdown against the Chiefs in week 1, but that's been kind of far and few between. But also Alex Smith had a bad game. He threw like 5 interceptions in 1 game. Ryan Tannehill, another rookie quarterback, throwing double-digit interceptions in the first 6 games. Josh Freeman right there behind him. And then sacked Newton and Manning and Brady, some of the ones most sacked in this league. Rushing, McFadden by far, 203 yards greater than his runner-up. Chris Johnson does, though, have the touchdowns. That's 13 touchdowns on the year. Big for anyone as a running back, but definitely a reason why the Colts are doing so well. Then you have Clinton Portis, Adrian Peterson, who's been trying to do the best he can to carry Dallas, CJ Spiller for the Texans, Houston's been doing better than I thought they would. I mean, I don't have high expectations for them. Rookie Trent Richardson there in the top 16. He doesn't have a face because I gave him dreads, as he should have. Receiving, we have Calvin Johnson Jr. and Greg Jennings. Again, only 6 games played, but they're already averaging over 100 yards each game. Do they have the average per game? I don't see it. But Ted Ginn, they have Steve Smith, Golden Tate, and then James Hardy, who came over from Oakland, is now one of the top 10 receivers with the Bengals under Brody Croyle. So that's fun to see for him. Let's see, anything else relevant? Brian Quick, the rookie wide receiver, number 11 there. T.Y. Hilton, another rookie, getting some attention. As for touchdowns, Calvin Johnson, of course, leads the way. Andre Johnson leads the way. I think it's interesting that Ted Ginn and Deshaun Jackson both have 7, so McNabb is really spreading it pretty well. Justin Blackman and Bolden splitting 4 for the Bengals. I don't know if you really care about tackles, but Donta Hightower, rookie, he's a rookie, and he's actually leading the league there in tackles for Washington. Michael Kendrick, also a rookie, leading the league. I think, yeah. And then you have some Jaguars there. If we look at sacks, Ray Edwards from the Packers, Cameron Wake, Geno Atkins. We had 2 Colts players there with 4 solo sacks. Interceptions, we have the free agent acquisition Justin Miller to the Seahawks, who has had 7 on the year. Crescent Butler, Antrell Roll, Lito Shepard. So I guess there's some momentum there with Chicago, having some solid defensive players, forcing turnovers. Kickers, not really anything special to see there. If you look at the rankings, it's interesting because the Eagles are number 1, even though they're on offense. And let's see, they're 7th on defense. Browns 3rd on offense, 6th. There was a team that I thought was interesting. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were higher up. Maybe it was the last week they were higher, but they had one of the worst offenses, but they had one of the better defenses at the time last week. But I mean, right now, this season's already off to an interesting start. There's some nice storylines already. Gonna have to figure out what I do with the Jets, because Haley probably could or should be fired after having a 1-5 start when he should be making the playoffs and winning a Super Bowl. I mean, this is a star-studded team for the Jets. You have all the weapons and options you need on offense. You have studs like Ndamukong Suh, Kiwanuka, Kirk Morrison. Maybe their defensive backs are a little bit weak, but they still should be a contender, but they're not. We have teams like the Falcons with Manning, where they're doing well. You got a good touchdown interception ratio. Willis McGahee's been doing fairly well on the ground. I mean, well, I guess maybe not. Maybe they're 31st in rushing. But this is a team that should make the playoffs. This is Peyton Manning's first year not being with the Colts. But then there's Tampa Bay, who are doing everything that they need to do. I thought about maybe trying to make a trade with the Jets and the Buccaneers for Alex Smith. Like, would Alex Smith make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a formidable team for years to come? Maybe. But until I can figure that out, I'm trying not to be too impulsive about trading away a 90-some overall quarterback, a 96 overall quarterback, who does have the lowest morale of any of the players in the league, and I can see why. But let me know what you think so far about this season. I want to make this video a little bit quicker. We have a lot more to play. A lot can change. But again, I think the Browns, Terrell Pryor, he's not technically doing that great stat-wise, but he is doing what he has to do to win. And so this Browns team is somehow getting that spark that I didn't expect them to have, where they're power ranked number 1 in the league. And we will see if Jim Tressel can take the Browns all the way. The Browns are the only team in my franchise who has never made the postseason. Every other team has made it at least once. There were some transactions. Maybe I can go. Yeah, okay. We can go through some of these because, let's see, week 4 preseason. So some of the trades I made, we had, let's see. These are some releases. They had to sign a tight end because of, I think it was some injury stuff. Raiders did trade for Roy Williams. So Roy Williams was with the St. Louis Rams, and the Rams decided to swap. So they pick up Taylor Price, they pick up Roy Williams, and they also got a draft pick. Seahawks did trade away some draft picks, or they received a first-round pick for Troy Polamalu. So Cleveland picks up Polamalu, which is a big acquisition there. If you look at Cleveland, their depth chart now is improved because they had Abram Elam at free safety. Now they have Troy Polamalu. And Polamalu is not, he's an older guy. He's older corner or older safety, 31 years old, but it was worth the first round pick as Cleveland is trying to make that dive into the postseason. But as I said, there's been a few trades and some transactions, not many of them, but just that was a big one there. Colts did the Falcons acquired Bubba Franks. Man, I can't even talk today. Bubba Franks from the Broncos. So Bubba Franks was a tight end with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. So they give him that extra option there in Atlanta. So look at the Atlanta tight ends. They have Bubba Franks now with Julius Thomas. And is there anything else that was relevant that I may have missed? Some signings there due to injuries. Nope, and the rest are just free agency stuff. But yeah, anyway, if you are enjoying kind of keeping track of this franchise, let me know. I always love a comment or a like or a subscribe. But what we have this week coming up, Cleveland versus Oakland on Thursday night. And Monday night is Commanders and Packers.